Hello my dearest friends, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt, and welcome to another Bookmas video. Like I promised, I'm going to put out at least 3 videos a week. This is kind of my maximum at this moment, so I hope that you're enjoying the extra video that you're getting from me each week. I'm going to be talking about kind of a wrap up of the year situation of which series I've loved in this video. The thing is, some of these series are still continuing, so there are going to be new releases in the future years, so they're not completed series. Some of them are series that I've wrapped up because the last book came out this year, and some of them are series that I binged. So I'm going to be talking about all of these today, and I'm going to kind of do it in a bit of a random order, so there's not going to be a lot of organization in this video, but that is something you're used to by now from me. I'm going to be rambling a little bit, but I'm going to be gushing essentially because these are all series that I loved. So let me start on these books because there's a lot of books to talk about today. I loved a lot of series this year. I started off this year with the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. I had been hearing so many people raving about these books. They're essentially 5 short novellas that are bundled into a book. And this is kind of it's a very kind of a dark romance that focuses on a female serial killer who has a reason for killing off these horrible men, and her romance is with the FBI profiler who's actually after her, and he doesn't know that he's dating the person he's chasing. So essentially this is the setup for the 5 books, and I binged the heck out of these books. They were really good. I had a couple of them marked as 4 stars, and then the last couple of books were 5-star reads for me. So I really definitely did love these books, the series, and I can completely get behind the hype of these books, and I can completely understand why they're kind of a segue into something different within the romance genre. I think they've inspired a lot of dark romance authors to pick up a different route when it comes to dark romances. There's more suspense in these books. The plot is not only centering on the romance, but more so on the backstory of these characters and why they have gotten dark in the first place. So I can really appreciate that within the series, and I definitely love them. So this is kind of the first series that I read this year that I absolutely loved. And then another dark romance series that I picked up right after that is the Dark Magi series by Kel Carpenter. It's another kind of on the shorter side, 5 books that are bundled in within a series, and I binged them. I binged all of them and I really loved them. I was so immersed into the fantasy world within this series, in the magic system of these characters. We've got a female character who is kind of a morally gray kind of a character because she has gone through it when she was young, and she is out for revenge and getting her justice because of what happened to her when she was young, and she gets teamed up with the male character who is having his own agenda. He is the leader of his kingdom and he is looking to achieve something for his realm, let me put it like that, and they kind of team up to achieve their mutual goals but fall in love in the meantime. And both of them are quite morally gray. It's quite a dark series. I also enjoyed the heck out of these books. I binged them, like I mentioned, and I gave them 5 stars, so they're definitely favorites of mine of this year. And then a series that I started, I think not last year but the year before, but I never finished, and I decided to finish it this year, is the Queens and Monsters series by J.T. Geisinger. This is a mafia, also on the darkish side, not very dark, but on the darkish side books. They are contemporaries, mafia romances. The third one is the one that I picked up at the start of the year, called Savage Hearts, and I think that one maybe one of my favorites, actually. This one has a Russian mobster who is out for revenge because in one of the previous books his brother was killed by one of the main characters, and he's out for revenge, so he is going to be kidnapping the sister of one of the heroines of the other books, and they are kind of secluded. He kidnaps her and takes her to this Russian cabin of his, so they have this forced proximity. they have this very interesting relationship because the heroine doesn't take any crap from the hero, even though he's a scary Russian mobster. So yeah, I really love this book. I gave this one 4.5 stars. The last book within the series is called Brutal Vows. I always get the name of this book mixed up. So Brutal Vows is an arranged marriage situation between one of the Irish mobsters and one of the Italian mobsters' widows, because she's a widow. The thing is, it's a bit of an interesting setup within this one, but yeah, out of the 4 books, I think this one is my least favorite, I think, because I think I just wasn't as invested within the trope of the arranged marriage as much. I really did love Spider's character, so the hero's character within the other books, but his own book, I just wasn't impressed by him, if you get what I mean. So this one was my least favorite, though I do have to say that I still enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. So wrapping up this series was quite a good thing for me because I really enjoy mafia romances when there is some kind of banter or some kind of slight comedy within them, which this series definitely does have, or some kind of a different factor, not just the alpha mobster kidnapping and ravishing his heroine. You know, there needs to be some kind of other factor, like a very badass heroine or someone who just gives a little pushback to the alpha. I just love this within the series. So yeah, this series was definitely a hit for me. And then when looking through the other series that I finished in April the last book, the 7th book within the Bergman Brothers series by Chloe Lees. And I'm not sure if I have to rank these books, which one would be my favorite, but I do think that the 7th book, Vigo's book, which is called Only and Forever, is one of my favorites. And I think this is because throughout the other 6 books, Vigo has been such a fun character to follow. We've been anticipating his book for so long, and I really love the conclusion to his story. The fact that he was secretly trying to open up a bookshop with romance books is just something that melts my heart already from the start. When I found out that this is going to be the setup for the story, I was already swooning so hard for Vigo, and then knowing that he has this unrequited love with his heroine and this kind of a pining situation, it was just so good. So I really love the conclusion to this series, and I'm happy that all of the Bergman brothers and sisters are happy and have found their happily ever after. Now this year is the year that I started the Throne of Glass series. I have read, is it 5 out of the 8 books? Yeah, I've read 5 out of the 8 books, and unfortunately for myself, I kind of stopped because the books are quite long. So the ones that I read last were quite long, and I just needed a break from a fantasy and started reading contemporaries in the summer. But now I'm kind of a bit lost when it comes to the plot. I think I need to revisit the last book that I read and then continue on with the series. But I definitely did love the last 3 books that I read. So the Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass books, I think I gave 3.5 stars because they're just okay for me. But then from the 3rd book on, game on. All of them were amazing reads for me. I gave them all 5 stars, and I'm definitely continuing on next year to finish off this series because I definitely want to see how our main character will progress, because by now we know that she's Faye and she has an amazing kind of romance with one of the heroes, and then we've got other characters who are probably also going to get some kind of romance. So yeah, I'm just really curious to see how this is going to play out. It's not for nothing that this series is one of the most beloved series by Sarah J. Maas, so I definitely want to continue on, and I really love that I did finish a big chunk out of this series, and I'm going to be continuing on. And then the next series, when I take a look at the series that I've finished that I really loved, is the Crown of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. I read the 2 books, the main books within the duology, which are The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Those 2 books I read, and I loved them. I really loved them. I gave both of them 5 stars, and I definitely want to read on in the Nyaxia world. We've got the 6 Scorched Roses novella, I think. I actually ordered that one, and I ordered it in the States. One of my friends is going to come to Bulgaria soon. He's going to bring it home for me, so I'm really happy about that. And then I purchased through Audible the next book, so the third book, which is The Songbird and Something Stone. I don't remember the name of it, but I'm going to be reading this very soon as well. So this series has been chef's kiss for me. And then the next one that I read this summer, I was in this. It's a fantasy. It's not a romance. It's a fantasy series that got recommended on Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Lives channel. And I was like, this sounds so good because it's so different from anything I've ever read. I definitely want to get to this. This is the Jade City, Jade War, Jade Legacy books by Fonda Lee. I was so immersed in these books. I was living in this world for like 2 weeks time. So we've got an urban fantasy that is set in an Asian big city like Shanghai, and it has this kind of a setup of a mobster war within this city, because we've got this very precious mineral jade that influences people's powers, and these families that are arch rivals. They are really enemies, and they're at war throughout the 3 books, and it's just so good. There is some romance in it, but most of all it's politically driven. It's most of all driven to the point of seeing how these families are trying to leave some kind of a legacy and build a dynasty for their clans, and it's just so good. I'm so happy that I picked this recommendation from Crystals, because it was just one of my favorite books of this year. So yeah, if you haven't picked up the Jade City series, go ahead, you're not going to be disappointed, but bear in mind that they're quite longish books. You just need to set apart the time for it to really finish them. And then the next book that I finished, that is the last book within a series, is Business Casual by B.K. Borison. This is part of the Love Light Farm series. I actually finished the Love Light Farm series books, so the other 3 books, last year, and I really loved all of them. And Business Casual was just the perfect conclusion to this series, and I'm just looking forward to what B.K. Borison will do next year, because she does have a new release next year, and I just look forward to what she's going to put out, because all of her books are just so hugely endearing and so amazingly sweet. The type of writing style that she has is just so different from other romance authors, and I just love the way that she sets up her romances. And yeah, I really love the conclusion to the series. Nova, and what was his name? I don't remember the hero's name, but it was just so good. I think that B.K. Borison has a huge talent that she needs to keep on exploring, because it's just so good. Now, I forgot about a romantasy series that I started off this year that is hugely popular. And I have some thoughts on it. So I don't think that I should be including it in a favorites video, because it wasn't a favorite, but I just definitely want to discuss it, because I'm not going to have an opportunity to discuss it in another video, I think, when it comes to a wrap up. We've got Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So I really enjoyed the first book. I gave it 4 stars. It's a romantasy book that has this kind of a competition thing going on for it, and people who have powers and the heroine who doesn't, who needs to kind of keep it a secret, because otherwise she's going to get killed, and not killed, but essentially driven off or whatever. And the thing is, I really enjoyed the setup for the whole plot of it. And then there is a novella called Powerful, and that one I really loved. I gave that one 4.5 stars and actually cried in the end of that one, so I really loved that one. But then the third book, or the second full-length novel, which is called Reckless, kind of really disappointed me, and that's why it's not a favorite series of this year. I think I'm still going to be picking up the last book, which will come out next year, called Fearless, and that's why I'm kind of wanting to discuss this, because even though I didn't love the last book that came out, I'm still intrigued to find out what exactly is going to happen and how it's going to get rounded up in the end. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I am intrigued, and I hope that this story goes in a bit of a different direction than the second book took it. It was kind of a filler book, I think. And yeah, that one was one that I definitely wanted to mention just because I enjoyed 2 out of the 3 books that came out this year. And then the last series that I'm going to mention is a series that has 2 books that came out, I think, this year, both of them. They're by Kerry Maniscalco. We've got the Princess of Sin series, where the plots of each book are centering on one of the princes of sin. We had Prince Envy and Prince Gluttony. But I have to say that the guy who is Prince Wrath, he had a book in a previous series, so I haven't read that one because I think it was more young adult, while this one is more new adult to adult. So I haven't read Wrath's story, but I did read Envy and Gluttony stories, and both of them I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed the setup for the romances. I enjoyed the world building. They were a bit long, but I still got through them without being too influenced by the length, let me put it like that. So I really did enjoy this series, and I'm going to be continuing on with the next books within this series. So yeah, this one was definitely a hit for me as well. So my dear friends, this wraps up all of the series that I loved this year, and one of the series that I liked but I'm hoping to love next year when it wraps up. So let me know what series you've been reading this year, loving, and what series you're going to be continuing on next year. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I have plenty of these videos coming in the future. And I hope to see you in the next Bookmas video. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.